Ever feel like you're doing all the right things and still wondering why your body feels off? You eat well, you train hard, your labs say you're fine, but deep down you know something's slipping. You're not alone and you're not crazy. I'm Daniel Rasmussen, founder of Echelon Center for Longevity, and I've spent 2 decades helping high performers like you to reverse aging, reignite vitality, and finally get answers. On Unbreakable Vitality, we go upstream. We talk peptides, stem cells, precision diagnostic testing, reversing the age of your arteries, all the innovative science-based tools to take back your health span so that your next decades are your best yet. Because aging is real, but decline is optional.
Here's what most people get wrong. When symptoms worsen after starting a protocol, they assume it's a healing crisis. And while this can be in limited cases true, often it's just poor drainage. It's you stirred up the pot, but you forgot to open the lid. Detox reactions are not a push through badge of honor. They're often a sign that your exit strategy is not working. Detox is not a juice cleanse. It's a layered, intelligent process that your body performs every single day, but it only works if your drainage systems are online. This episode uncovers the missing link in many longevity plans, the ability to eliminate waste, toxins, and metabolic debris. Because if you can't get the junk out, nothing else you can add will fully work. So here's the situation. You may have spent hundreds or maybe even thousands of dollars on peptides and protocols. But if your liver is backed up or if you have a gut infection, guess what? You're just recirculating trash. Let's define detox. I want to redefine it so that you can get the real role of the drainage systems in your body. So what is the difference between detox and drainage? At Echelon, we see it all the time. Clients investing thousands into advanced protocols and peptides, IVs, hormone therapy, but they still feel stuck. They're not getting the results. And when we dig into their labs and their symptom patterns, the real culprit starts to show up. Their detox and drainage systems are already overwhelmed, underfunctioning, or completely offline. Maybe think of it like a drainage pipe in your sink, and the little J pipe is completely clogged up. And the more you put in, nothing can get through. It just overflows out the side of the sink. Detox is the body's internal processing of toxins and metabolic waste. So it's the processing once it gets inside the body. Drainage is how the body eliminates those toxins that are inevitably going to get into your body. And then once they're processed, how are they drained? So that's the drainage. If you activate detox pathways without clearing the exit routes first, you're just stirring up the trash without taking it to the curb. That's why we always start with drainage first. At Echelon, we use clinically tested frameworks like the Cell Core Comprehensive Protocol and Quicksilver's Scientific Push Cache System. But we don't just copy and paste, we personalize them based on your lab tests. Here's how it works. We begin by opening up the primary filtration and elimination organs, the liver, the kidneys, the lymphatic system, the colon, and the bile ducts. This phase supports what CellCore calls phase 0, the pre-drainage phase that makes every other phase more effective. We use foundational tools like bitter herbs and bile flow support, binder rotation, such as humic and fulvic acids, activated charcoal, and silica-based binders, which then bind or catch the biotoxins so that they can be eliminated safely, rendered inert, and cleared out of the body. Liver-specific antioxidants like TUDCA, NAC, and silymarin, in the Quicksilver's push catch system, we use those push agents like bitters and glutathione precursors to mobilize the toxins, conjugate them, and then catch binders in specific timing windows to trap and remove them. It's very strategic. It takes a lot of experience, and it's not always obvious. So this isn't about just flushing the body and causing diarrhea. It's about restoring bidirectional flow. What does that mean? It means that so that toxins can leave the cell, pass through the liver, and exit the body through bile, urine, stool, and sweat, and even your breath. We also use blood biomarkers to guide this process. For example, Elevated homocysteine tells us the body is struggling with methylation, which is a key detox pathway that supports phase 2 liver detox. There are other clues like elevated liver enzymes, ALT and AST, low or sluggish bile flow, recirculating hormones or histamine issues. All of these things indicate that the drain is backed up and the sink is overflowing, which is why your skin is breaking out or your skin is itchy or you're having fatigue and brain fog. All those toxins back up into other systems, suppressing their normal healthy function. And then you get symptoms as a result. And until all of that is cleared and this system is working and functioning again, nothing else, no matter how advanced, will land. I want to break down these 3 phases of detox so that you really intimately understand it, because it's critical to maintaining a lifetime reduced inflammation and biotoxin buildup. This is how you will play into not just lengthening your lifespan, but feeling and living and maximizing those years to the best that you can. So define drainage versus detox. So we've got our organs and our systems involved, such as liver, lymph, colon, you got your bile, you got your kidneys and skin, and even the breath. Why drainage is the prerequisite to detoxification? Well, let's break down the actual science behind how your body detoxifies in the first place. Not the buzzword version. So detoxification or detoxification happens in 3 distinct phases, and they rely on very different systems and nutrients. So think of it like running a factory. Phase 1 breaks the toxins into tiny, smaller pieces or parts, but some are more reactive and dangerous in this intermediate form. So phase 2 then attaches specific molecules to make those parts water soluble. Phase 3 is then the drainage, escorting them out through the bile, urine, stool, or sweat. Let's go one by one. So phase 1, the processing plant. This phase happens primarily in the liver, which activates using enzymes like the cytochrome P450 family. Toxins, hormones, drugs, they all enter the processing plant. There's no way around it. Phase 1 simply turns them into reactive intermediates. Yes, this can make them temporarily more toxic if not cleared quickly. That's why phase 2 is so critical. Conjugation, which is basically labeling the toxins. So this is the phase your body uses where it utilizes nutrients and amino acids to tag those reactive molecules so that they can be safely eliminated. This includes methylation using things like B vitamins, methylfolate, SAMe, thiamine. Then you've got glucuronidation, which uses magnesium, curcumin, resveratrol. Then you've got sulfation using sulfur-containing amino acids like taurine. And by the way, sulfation can also come from your cruciferous vegetables, which contain sulforaphane. And so these sulfur-containing amino acids are used to do this conjugation phase of detox. Then you've got the good old conjugation. So we're still in phase 2. These are all the body's different ways of conjugating the biotoxins. So the final one is the glutathione. And this is the big one. This is a huge one. It neutralizes heavy metals and chemicals. So it's the big guns. So if you're deficient in B vitamins, magnesium, sulfur, or glutathione precursors, phase 2 is going to slow down. And that's when you start to see symptoms like histamine overload, mast cell activation syndrome, hormonal issues, poor recovery after a workout, or chronic fatigue and brain fog. So these are all signs that the toxins are building up. Phase 3, finally, after conjugation, now it's time to go out the door, the exit doors. This is the part that most people forget and the part that gets blocked the easiest. Even if phase 1 and 2 are humming along just fine, if your bile isn't flowing, your kidneys are sluggish or inflamed and insufficient, if your colon is backed up, you've got constipation, things like this. Well, the toxins are going to get reabsorbed back into the blood circulation and then recirculated. It's like you've got a bucket with mud in the bottom and it's all settled down. Then you take a big stick and you stir that bucket around, but it's got nowhere else to go. It just circulates around in the bucket and eventually settles back down and goes back into hiding if those biotoxins and debris aren't cleared if phase 3 is the drainage is not working. So that's why our protocols here at Echelon always include comprehensive support for all 3 phases. Phase 1, antioxidants like milk thistle, quercetin, alpha lipoic acid. Phase 2, methyl B vitamins, magnesium, NAC, and acetylcysteine, and sulforaphane. Phase 3 are binders, fiber, bitters, hydration, lymphatic movement. We watch these to your lab data. Elevated homocysteine, we support methylation. Elevated ALT, AST, we support liver conjugation. Poor bile flow, we use bitters and bile salts before pushing detox. Detox without sequencing these phases, it's like turning on a fire hose in a house with no plumbing. It's going to overwhelm it. It's going to fill it up and it's going to flood things. So, then what happens when phase 3 breaks down, which then results in signals your body that your exit is jammed. So when we look at phase 1, 2, and 3 all together, explained in simple terms, enzymes, methylation, conjugation, excretion, what happens when one phase is slower or suboptimal and how that causes symptoms. So the blocked drain, this is when your body isn't clearing the waste out. You know that feeling when you've cleaned your whole house, but forgot to take out the trash and it's smelly? That's your body on a backed up drainage system. You can be doing everything right, eating organic, taking your supplements, loading up on your green super powders. But if your detox exits are all clogged, all you're doing is recirculating that cellular garbage. It's like hitting the sauna in a winter coat. Now let's talk symptoms. The body's way of waving a big, slightly sweaty flag that something isn't draining. Skin breakouts or rashes. Well, your skin is screaming for help. Brain fog that no nootropic can fix. No matter what, you've still got brain fog. Fatigue despite perfect labs and triple espresso shots. Weird reactions to supplements or detoxification kits that you've tried in the past. A puffy face or water retention after travel, stress, or heavy meals. I remember one of our patients, I'm going to call him Mike. That's not his real name, but we'll call him Mike. He came in with really great clean lifestyle habits. He had been using growth hormone peptides with very, very limited results. We'll explain why in a minute. He was exercising daily and he was even doing some meditation at night and then first thing in the morning. So, before bed and right after getting up. But he had this stubborn body fat, this weight that would not go off. He kept having these afternoon energy crashes where, he is falling asleep at work and even falling and nodding off during meetings. Just really difficult time, just almost narcoleptic in a way. And he had these weird recurring skin flare-ups around his neck, itchy neck, and then flare-ups, red, dry, itchy skin. When we ran his lab work, we found some liver enzymes elevated, AST and ALT, GGT, and we found that he had elevated conjugated free bilirubin, which suggested gallbladder stasis, bile stasis, maybe even some blockage of his bile duct. Something's going on there. And then sky high homocysteine. I think he was at, I want to say not quite 20, which is really, really not good. That means his arteries are raging inflammation from all the toxicity. And he's just destroying his coronary arteries and his vascular arteries and his carotid arteries in his neck and his brain. So the detox was trying to happen, but the exits were jammed. And what do? We paused everything that he was doing. I told him immediately get off of all this stuff and focus on your body's drainage system. We need to get the bile flow. You need to get the bitters going. And then we need to do some lymphatic drainage and movement. Rebounder, get a rebounder for home, go do a sauna, come into the office and do some flow presso lymphatic drainage. Phenomenal treatment for full body lymphatic massage. Then we put him on some binder rotation based on his symptom load. We even started using good old fashioned castor oil packs right over his liver area and his abdomen, lower abdomen, and high dose minerals. catalyzed mineral complex. Within about a month, his symptoms started clearing up. Now, they weren't gone, but they were about 70% better. More importantly, his energy returned, and not the stimulated kind, but actual real energy. We even had him off of caffeine just so his adrenal glands could recharge and rebuild, and his HPA, hypothalamus pituitary adrenal axis, could start re-regulating. And that vitality started coming back. The real baseline resilience started building back up. So he is very, very excited after only a month of doing this, was feeling so much better. So here's what most people get wrong. When symptoms worsen after starting a protocol, they assume it's a healing crisis. And while this can be in limited cases true, often it's just poor drainage. It's you stirred up the pot, but you forgot to open the lid. So detox reactions are not a push through badge of honor. They're often a sign that your exit strategy is not working. So that's why we never detox hard at Echelon. We detox intelligently based on your labs, looking at your symptoms, and looking at your drainage readiness. And I really want to walk you through exactly how we reboot those drainage pathways. And the order does matter. The order of operation is key to this, because if you skip any steps, let's just say your body might file a complaint with your liver, skin issues start showing up, brain fog, fatigue, poor recovery, weird symptoms after starting new protocols. This is how drainage blocks causes those detox reactions. So now let's talk about rebooting the drainage pathways. So we know that what happens when drainage breaks down. Let's talk about how to get things moving again without turning your bathroom into a war zone. First, here's what we don't do. We don't throw 17 binders, 3 detox teas, and a gallon of celery juice at your system and hope it goes for the best. Instead, we restore your drainage like a plumber would, step by step, upstream to downstream, the whole pathway. Step 1 is lots of hydration with good quality minerals. No amount of detox works if your body is dehydrated or depleted of minerals. And 99% of you are depleted of minerals. We begin with cellular level hydration. Think like structured water, electrolytes, and trace minerals, because water is the taxi and minerals are the GPS for elimination. Then step 2, we go for bile flow and bitters. We get those things flowing. Bile is your detox highway. If it's thick or sluggish, stasis, toxins back up like bad traffic on around Seattle's I-5 corridor. Next, we use bitter herbs, artichoke extract, dandelion root, gentian, and bile salts like tudka or actual ox bile. Choline for bile viscosity, thinning that bile down so it can flow again. This alone can relieve symptoms like brain fog, fatigue, and skin issues. The lymphatic support is the third step. So your lymph is like the drainage system with no pump. It relies on movement, exercise, walking, activity, and hydration, and even temperature shifts, sauna, cold plunge type things. We support lymph with recommending sauna and cold plunges, rebounding on a mini trampoline, lymphatic massage like we have here at the clinic, the Flow Presso machine, which is a phenomenal technology, or just even dry brushing at home can all have positive effects on lymphatic drainage. This also supports your immune regulation and mitochondrial signaling. That's a little side bonus that you get from it. So the fourth step would be to, get things in the bowel and then get the bowels and the kidneys to eliminate, clear them out of the body. So if the bowels aren't moving daily, all these upstream efforts hit a wall. So we ensure that there's regular bowel movements on a daily basis first. Use of binders like, Cellcore has a really good one called Biotoxin Binder. And then Quicksilver has a product called Ultra Binder. So at the end of the day, they're basically binding the toxins so that they can be caught, rendered inert, and then cleared out of the body. Prebiotic fibers and GI support are included when we need it. The fifth step would be, strategic stacking and then testing. We adjust each drainage layer based on your labs, ALT, AST, homocysteine, the GI markers, and your symptoms like histamine reactions, fatigue, rashes, skin issues, itchy skin. And we look at toxin burden, like your history, mold exposure, heavy metals, pathogens. It's not a one size fits all. It's precision. It's got to be. One of our clients, she's a 49-year-old entrepreneur, and she's plateauing despite IVs, peptides, and 10 hours a week at the gym. Can you imagine? It's almost 2 hours a day. We reset her entire detox by focusing on just the drainage for 6 weeks. And the result was nothing less than miraculous, really. Her skin cleared up, her sleep improved, and her words, I didn't know I could feel this clean inside. This is the work that makes the sexy stuff work. The things like the peptides and the IVs, how we build these gentle detox habits then into a daily routine for the rest of your life. So it's not a one-time cleanse, but a regenerative rhythm that you go through. How we support liver, lymph, kidneys, bile, and gut in sequence foundational work before adding those detox interventions. The top tools that we found most effective are the binders, the bitters, the lymph movers, sauna, hydration, and minerals. Now, we want to make this a lifestyle, not an event. So the word detox has been hijacked by a lot of influencers with juicers and questionable colon cleanse kits. But real detox, it's not a 7-day reset or New Year's resolution. It's a rhythm. It's a way of living that supports your biology 24/7. So at Echelon, we don't treat detox as like a one-time event. We build it into your daily life so that you know how to do it going forward, so that your body doesn't have to beg for a reset, every hard reset after going through decline and then recovery after you reset it. Here's how we do it. Every client we work with gets a lifestyle protocol that includes showing them how to use bitter before meals to support bile flow, sauna sessions or lymphatic drainage sessions on the Flow Presso, or getting a home rebounder to get that lymph circulation, staying properly hydrated with the electrolytes and trace minerals and pink Himalayan salt for those minerals. You can do environmental detoxification. You can't out supplement a toxic lifestyle. It just won't work. That's why we look at water quality. We look at your exposure at your home. We recommend under sink reverse osmosis or structured filtration systems or water distillation systems. For your indoor air, you need to get HEPA air filter filtration. Get rid of the artificial fragrances. Instead, buy 100% essential oils, things like that. House plants. Get more house plants for natural detoxification of the air. And then you've got your personal care products, things like we got to have you look at your personal skincare and even household cleaners, one thing at a time, where you're going through your house and you're seeing, wow, I have all these plastic cookware and plastic food storage containers. You're going to need to get rid of all that. Microplastics are a massive source of toxicity in the body. We also check labs for toxin load like glyphosate, heavy metals, and mold. If your blood is waving a white flag, we adjust it, because toxins aren't just physical. If you're bathing your brain in blue light and cortisol all day, guess what? Your liver takes that hit too. So we help clients to establish like phone-free zones and wind down rituals to improve their sleep, incorporate breath work and parasympathetic activation into their day, tracking your heart rate variability, HRV, and cortisol rhythms to dial in nervous system resilience. You've also got to take into consideration, you can't leave out the mitochondria. Mitochondria are damaged and they don't clear waste efficiently when they are damaged. So we support mitochondrial biogenesis, which means multiplication of those mitochondria. And we use peptides like MATS-C and supplements like PQQ and CoQ10. One of my favorites here, I've got right here, is an NAD and a PQQ booster. So these are all mitochondrial optimizers. We look at encouraging and coaching people to get into autophagy, and that's done through fasting and strategic caloric cycling and movement stacking. A lot of people will do these 5-day or 7-day water only fasts, and I Can't tell you how many people, I'm telling you, are doing this incorrectly. All the research shows that anything beyond 72 hours of fasting on water only, your body is tapping into muscle tissue at that point in order to make up the energy deficit. Up to the 72 hours, you're going to reach maximum autophagy for that round of fasting. So if anything you can do, take with you information right now, is never, ever go beyond a 3-day water only fast. But autophagy is one of the most effective ways to get the body to clean up and eat up inflammation and toxins for the energy. So your body starts converting those toxins and tumors and growths and masses and eats them for energy when your body's in autophagy. It is phenomenal. It's probably the most powerful singular way to get your body to clean itself up, get out of pain, and start detoxing. When you stack all these strategies, you're not just preventing toxicity, you're creating internal spaciousness. So we teach you how to inculcate these practices into your lifestyle. This is so important. There's a lot of wisdom here, a lot of experience coming from millennia old cultures. So I want to share one story of one of our 50-year-old. He was an executive of a Fortune 500. He went from afternoon crashes and skin breakouts to consistent energy, restful sleep, and a 9-point drop in his true age score after building in just three of these detox rhythms on a daily basis. And he didn't, detox. He just started living in alignment with sort of keeping these principles in check every day. Phenomenal. So now in the next episode, we're going to tackle the blood sugar story, the quiet chaos agent behind cravings, sugar cravings. How many of you have sugar cravings or had sugar cravings in the past? Well, we're going to look at how the blood sugar story can lead to vascular damage and fatigue. And even if your labs say normal, how are we going to build gentle daily detox into every longevity plan in environmental toxin avoidance? Even emotional detox, digital detox, and mitochondrial detox need to be taken into consideration. But before you add one more supplement or IV drip or miracle detox tea, make sure your drainage pathways are actually open, because regeneration doesn't start with what you add. It starts with what you first release. And that is a principle, a foundational principle. So in our next episode of Unbreakable Vitality, we're zooming in on the sneakiest villain in the anti-aging story, which is blood sugar. We'll unpack how blood sugar dysfunction, even without a diabetes diagnosis, it silently drives vascular damage, inflammation, cognitive decline, early dementia, and fat storage in the body. If you've ever felt, hangry, crashed energy in the mid-afternoon, or struggled to fast effectively, this one's for you. Next week, we'll dive into that blood sugar and why it's the quiet killer behind vascular damage, inflammation, cravings, and aging. And even if your fasting glucose looks normal, you want to pay attention. We'll see you then.
If you're feeling like your energy, your edge, or your clarity just isn't what it used to be, you're not alone. But you're also not stuck. Every week on Unbreakable Vitality, we explore real strategies to reverse aging, reclaim vitality, and rewrite what's possible. If today's episode gave you even one insight, pass it on. Then go take the free vascular age quiz at echelon-longevity.com/quiz to see how your body's aging. Subscribe, leave a review, and follow us, because your future isn't on autopilot. You are building it, and you're just getting started.